I want to tell you about two big key features that have come to Conan Exiles with the Age of War Chapter 3. What's up everybody, my name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. This video is sponsored by Funcom and they've asked me to share this information with you. The first new addition that we're going to look at is the new PvE raid base. Now this is also available for PvP and PvEC. Now this is currently only available on the Exiled lands and it's unclear whether we will see a raid base come to the Isle of Siptah. The goal of raiding this base is to make it to the top room and face off against commander-backed Nimlot. In that room, you'll find copious amounts of gold coins lying on the ground. There's also a lot of really good loot scattered inside and outside of the base, and there are some recipes that you can learn for different weapons and armor. Additionally, there are battering rams, bombs, and a legendary katana, the Musashi's Black Blade, that you can get from this interaction. And the base is fully destructible. Like any PvP raid, you can destroy every single bit of this base. So if you want to set up on a cliffside nearby and launch an assault with trebuchets, you can do that to your heart's content. You can also go with a full frontal assault using the bombs and the battering rams to break down the gates that stand in your way. All the while, the patrolling soldiers around the base will try to stop you from making it any further. Now, in the current iteration of the game, these enemy soldiers do not stop spawning unless you make it through the next gate. So it is very difficult and challenging to go through the main gates, and I highly recommend that if this is the way that you want to attack the base, you bring a friend or a few friends with you to engage in this content that way. And when I say bring a friend with you, I actually mean other players. I'm not talking about thralls, as they seem to get overwhelmed with the number of NPCs that spawn in this area. Now, if you or a friend wants a copy of Conan Exiles, there's a link in the description of this video with a promo code where you can save 20% when you purchase the game. And if you've ever wanted to use an avatar from one of your altars in PvE, this is also a great place to use it, as the avatars will destroy this base like they would in PvP. And the loot that the enemies drop here is very good. It's worth taking a look at and picking up what you want to take back with you. Most of the patrolling soldiers can be knocked out. Anything that does not have a name associated with it in this area can be knocked out and converted to a thrall. And the full frontal assault is going to be the most difficult way to raid this base. But don't worry, there are other ways to engage in this content and raid this base. If you're solo and you don't want to try a full frontal attack, you could use things like sorcery to fly in with the bat, or even use the ice bridge to make your way inside. Additionally, you could sneak around like a Zamorian thief and get inside. There are ways to climb to the top of this base and raid it with little to no resistance from the enemy soldiers. All in all, it's up to you and your imagination on how to get into the base and how to raid it the way that you want to, and make it to the top and defeat the final boss. And I think it's pretty cool to be able to come down here and exact revenge against them for all the purges that they've been doing in the Exiled lands. Now, I mainly play solo, so I do have some videos on my channel to help guide you through this interaction if you're a solo player, and I'll link those in the description of this video. Another really cool feature that's been added with the Age of War Chapter 3 is the new Tavern System. Not only do you have a new tavern placeable that you can unlock at level 20, but there's a new thrall type, which is a barkeeper, which you can hire and place at your bar. Really, you have to rescue them from a purge, and you have a chance of rescuing them from any level purge. Once you have the tavern placed and you have a barkeeper to tend it, NPCs will start visiting your tavern. It's important to make sure that you have seating around the tavern placeable so that the NPCs can come and sit down in your tavern area. And there are a few basic functions that you need to know about for the tavern. First of all, you're able to hire contacts like Iskar the Sellsword, which you find in the Purge, and he's going to have a plethora of items that you can purchase from him that will help you in either defending against the Purge or raiding the Stygian base that I talked about earlier. And some of the NPCs that come and frequent your tavern can actually be hired. Anything from tier 1 to named thralls can be hired through this system. Now, not all the NPCs that come and frequent your tavern can be hireable. In order to see if they're hireable, simply walk up to them and see if there's an interact option for that particular NPC. Each level of NPC will cost a different amount of coin in order to hire them. And there are definitely points in time where you're going to see named NPCs inside your tavern that you simply aren't able to hire. Something that I've noticed with the hireable versus non-hireable NPCs in the tavern is that the ones that prominently display their weapons on them are not hireable, and the ones that don't display their weapons seem to be hireable. Now, whether that's by design or not, I am not sure, but the ones that have weapons on their back or are displaying weapons seem to be the ones that you cannot hire. And the Tavern Patrons do not follow the same rules of aggro as anything else in the Exiled Lands. It is like they are invisible to anything that would be dangerous to them. Additionally, if your base was to get attacked by something, they are not going to stand and defend your base. It's like they're not even there. Now, you don't have to build the tavern at your base. You can build it as a secondary building, and if you leave the door open, that would actually allow other players to come and hire different thralls from your tavern. So it's up to you to either seal off your tavern so that other players can't come and hire the NPCs that frequent your tavern, or to leave it open and allow anyone to come in and hire the NPCs that are there. And the last function of the Tavern System is that it just brings life to your base. There's some hustle and bustle going on in your base, and that just brings a whole new standard of immersion into Conan Exiles. There are some rules for seating when it comes to the Tavern Patrons, where they will not actually sit in any chair that is considered a throne. So if you want to have a chair for yourself to sit in, place a throne, and none of the Tavern Patrons will ever sit in that location. Don't forget to whack the like button on the way out, and let me know in the comments section below which of these new features do you like more. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. The video on the screen right now I did as a Christmas celebration where I put a ton of bombs on the new raid base and blew them up. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I hope you'll join me over there now.